Howdy. My name is Nonat, and welcome to Quick Comparisons, the video series where I cover the differences between Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and Pathfinder 2nd edition. This has been a topic that so many people have wanted me to make a video on for months now, but honestly I just couldn't decide the correct way to do it. I could make hour-long essays talking about every little detail of every little difference and my thoughts on the matter. Or I could do little snippet couple-minute-long videos that I just go through the mechanics but don't get to input my opinion in any way. There are lots of problems with both of these formats. The longer videos will get rambly and tedious and overall a bit too much for me and probably too much for the viewer as well. And the shorter ones will just try to be so condensed with information, it'll start to feel hollow and robotic. In the end, I've settled on this system. Quick Comparisons. Shorter videos about 5 to 10 minutes in length where I go over very specific facets of each system. These videos won't be on any kind of schedule, they'll sort of be coming out whenever I feel like making one. It'll probably fall in the time span of about once a week though. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and jump into our first comparison. I figured there's really no better place to start these videos than with the most drastic difference between the two systems, the action economy. 5e uses the tried and true move-attack system, whereas Pathfinder 2e took a risky step and abandoned that classic style for a new 3-action economy system. Let's pick these two apart and analyze them. Dungeons & Dragons is incredibly simple and straightforward. On your turn, you can take a normal action and a movement action. Real quick, I just want to pipe in and say that throughout this video I keep saying move action for 5e. It's not a move action, it's your movement. There's no such thing as a move action in 5e. Just wanted to clear that up. I still mean what I say, I just use the wrong terminology. Most of the options available to your character fall under one of these two types of actions, unless it's a free action or a reaction, which I'm not really going to talk about much because those are pretty much the same between the two systems. Attacking somebody? Normal action. Moving somewhere? Movement action. Casting a spell? Normal action. It's usually pretty easy to distinguish a normal from a move action. It gets a little confusing sometimes with things like the dash action, which lets you move, but it's a normal action. 9 times out of 10 though, this system is incredibly easy to understand. Pathfinder 2e's system is just about as simple, however, if you're used to the move attack system used by most RPGs, it can be a little jarring to try to switch to the new system. Rather than labeling different types of actions, everything is now either 1, 2, or 3 actions. On your turn, you are given 3 actions to spend, and you can spend them however you like. This means, for example, you could do the same thing 3 times. Move 3 times? You can do that. Attack 3 times? Sure. Cast the same 1-action spell 3 times in 1 turn? Go for it. Now, the system does have some rules in play to balance this out, namely its multiple attack penalty. The long and short of it is, the more times you try to attack in the same turn, the less accurate all future attacks will be. I won't go too deep into this here as it's not super pertinent to the action economy, it's just a way it balances it, and I'll probably talk about it in a future video. But penalties aside, you are free to do anything you want, as many times as you want, so long as you still have the actions to spend for it. So what's the biggest difference between these two systems? Well, especially at early levels, Pathfinder 2e turns get to do a lot more. With the ability to attack twice and move, or move twice and attack, all characters, enemies included, are able to position themselves and make use of the battlefield a bit more. In D&D 5e at the early levels, you have to admit it's a lot of, I move up and attack. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen in Pathfinder, it absolutely does, but I'm saying that players here have the choice to make use of these extra actions to make the battlefield that much more dynamic. Also, keep in mind, all of these extra action rules also apply to enemies as well. So in Pathfinder 2e, it's really easy to find yourself flanked or even surrounded from what you thought was a safe position because the enemies used all of their actions to move up to you. Sure, they didn't attack you, but they just crossed the battlefield and surrounded your healer. Now to be fair, Pathfinder's system of course has its own big set of flaws. For one thing, it's a lot to think about. Just adding that third action onto a player's turn can make it feel like such a slog, and every turn feels like there's a lot more balancing and choices to be made, for better or for worse. This can lead to slow combats and a lot of downtime between the same player's turn. All of this is incredibly apparent at new player tables. I can attest to this. My first few sessions were incredibly slow as everyone had to figure out how a multiple attack penalty works. What do I do with this third action? I already moved and attacked. I don't know what to do with this. This effectively becomes part of the game's learning curve. It does get faster once you've learned it, but you do have to deal with that slog when you're first learning. D&D has the benefit of being flexible. Yes, your turn can be as simple as I move, I attack, but the game still gives players the tools to be as creative as they want on their turns. Pathfinder, while having many more of these tools, does not allow the player to simply move attack. There is always that third action that the player needs to do something with. This can easily overwhelm new players, even though veteran players might really enjoy it. So where do my opinions lie between these two systems? Well, as an experienced player of both systems, I have to side with the 3-action economy of Pathfinder. Shocking, right? It's much more flexible, allows for much more choice from the player on what to do and how to do it, and overall, for me, makes a much more immersive, dynamic combat experience. However, I will still admit that even as an experienced player, there are times where combat grinds to a halt because someone doesn't understand something, veterans alike. The simplicity of the move attack system of 5e should not be overlooked. It is incredibly efficient. It's also a fantastic entry point for players who don't want to be overwhelmed with options and choices. While I may prefer the 3-action economy of Pathfinder, it is completely understandable if you prefer the move attack simplicity of 5e. But where do you fall on the matter? Which system do you prefer and why? Let me know in the comments. I feel like the comment section might be a little weighted in the Pathfinder side, just due to the nature of my channel and my audience, but I'm still so curious to hear from you, and I hope to hear people discussing and talking and defending both sides down in the comments. What aspect of these two systems should I cover next? Specific classes, specific spells, items, equipment, monsters? Let me know down in the comments, and I might just pick your topic for the next quick comparisons video. Thank you so much for watching. There are links in the description to my Discord, Twitter, and Patreon, and if you're feeling generous, maybe you already liked the video and subscribed. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, no nat ones.